Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Leafy. I'm going to show you how to start microgreens. Microgreens are a very simple, basic vegetable that you can get started inside your home, and it only takes 7 to 14 days at most to harvest. So come along with me and I will show you the process of how to get it started and even how to maintain them each day until harvest time. Microgreens that we are going to be making today are radishes. And this package that I'm using is by High Mowing. It's organic sprouting seeds, and it's radish seeds that I will be using. The microgreens that I have over here are actually a mixture. This is not what I'm actually going to be showing you how to make, but I just want to show you what I have, and it's actually ready to harvest. It's a mixture of different seeds. It is a mixture of a spicy salad mix by High Mowing. It's a spicy salad mix, so there's a mixture of alfalfa, broccoli, radishes, and just different types of seeds that's mixed in that. And then I also added some broccoli in there as well. So I made a note on here because I had some broccoli seeds that were less and I didn't have enough. And so I mixed the two together, and that's why I produced this. So it only took about 1 week to produce this set of microgreens, so I can harvest it now. So I want to show you what your product will look like at the end once you are finished, putting it together. So what I have here to just get us started is, well, of course, I've got the seeds. So I love radish because the radish, it's spicy, it has a lot of crisp to it, and a lot of flavor. So if you like foods that have a little kick to it, this is a great thing to add to a lot of different recipes that you do have. Just a little measuring cup for just scooping out the Coco Coir that I'm going to show you that I'm going to use inside of the tray. So I have that, just a tablespoon to measure the microgreens, and then just this little jar just to place it in. And I've got water to spray on the microgreens, and then the Coco Coir to spray inside the tray so that there is moisture. The tray that I will be using is this little small tray. It's about 10 by 10, about the size of a piece of paper. It's really not large, but it's a good size for myself and my family, and we make multiple different trays. You can go for a larger tray like 10 by 20, but if you want a lot all at one time, I go between the two. The difference, that's what I'm going to be using. It's very simple and basic. And then the Coco Coir is what I'm going to be using. There's a process of, it's very simple. It's basically, this is a hard block of Coco Coir. It's the husk of coconut shell, the outer shell of the coconut. And so you basically just take this hard block, if you can see it. You take this hard block and you mix it with water, and then I'll show you what happens with it. That was already done. This was from, I think it was like 1 block. It turned into a lot, but if you can see inside here. So it's basically, it's soilless, and so this is what I'm going to be using. Instead of using soil, so I don't have to deal with all this, things that you would normally find in soil that form, or little, I don't have any issues with different fungi and just different issues that you would have with using soil. I don't have that issue with using that. So I love using that, in particular because it's indoors. So we're going to get started. So this is the tray that I'm going to pour in the Coco Coir, and then when we're done, we put the seeds inside, we spray it down, and then I kind of smooth it over, and we cover it up, and you put it into Blackout, and then kind of just put a little weight on it to add some weight to the top of it, so that the seeds have that pressure on top of it, so that they are able to push up against it. It just helps with the rooting system for the roots. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, basically this is a 1 cup measuring cup, so I'm going to scoop out 2 cups onto the tray. and you just spread it. Just evenly spread it. You can use your hands. That's why I use this measure cup. It's just easy. But you can use your hands as well, just to even out the tray. It doesn't take very long. And I love the fact that, you know, when you're growing outdoors, and if you're growing anything else, like I grow, you see, kale and my hydroponic system, it takes much longer. You know, you have to really wait for the plants to mature. But with microgreens, you can harvest it in a week. And so I love it. And if I want to switch it up, add different, you know, create a new tray, you know, experiment and try something different, you know, you can do that. You can do that. And it's so easy, and there's such a quick return on being able to harvest and to eat the foods that you're making. So we're done with that. All right. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to add the seeds. So, but let me show that to you. So see how I smoothed it down, smoothed it over. And now we're going to add the seeds. I would just recommend maybe just about, not the seeds, this is the salad mix. You want the radish. I would say in a tray like this, I would say just maybe 1 tablespoon should be just enough. And I usually gauge it with this little jar that I have. Okay. So usually if you fill it up about half, that should be enough, but we're going to try that out and we'll see how much. It might end up being 1.5 tablespoons. And then all you're going to do is just sprinkle it on top. So you're just going to keep spreading the seeds. And you really want to get the seeds evenly distributed over the tray so that they don't, when they're sprouting, they're not all clumped together. So you just want to do your best to gauge that. Sometimes it's hard. You can't be perfect. In gardening, there's no such thing as perfection. You just do the best that you can. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't turn out the way you want to exactly, you would just enjoy what you create and what you harvest, and you just do it again until you get it the way that you want to. But there's no perfection in gardening. There's no perfection in growing. There's no perfection in it. You work with it, you do the best that you can do, and you enjoy the process, and you enjoy the fruits of your labor. So I'm taking my time with it, yes, just a little bit, because I want it to be evenly. I don't want it to clump into just one area, but I just want it to be evenly distributed everywhere. Okay, so this is basically about one tablespoon. That's 1 tablespoon. You could even put 1.5 tablespoons. It shouldn't be too bad. But that's 1 tablespoon. If you can see that, 1 tablespoon, okay, of radish seeds. And then there's one more seed. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to moisturize it, not oversaturate it. You don't want to over water it. We are at some point, here's another seed. We're going to, and you're not going to do it now, but at some point, once this tray comes out of Blackout, and I will show you, you're going to water at the bottom, but we're not going to do that right now. Right now, we are just going to water and spritz the top of it, okay? So I just got this little pump that I got from the local hardware store. And I like it because I could just spray it very easily. So I'm spraying it. Let me show you a little bit closer. I'm just spraying it. Let me pump it up again. just to saturate it and moisten it, but not to actually overwater it or anything like that. Okay? Get a little bit more pressure in it. And it just comes spraying out. There we go. All right, that should be enough. And a little bit more. Just enough to get the seeds moistened. These are little seeds. These are not seeds that I have to necessarily, you know, soak over for a couple of hours or anything like that. So you can see that it is saturated with some water to give it a good mist, and this water will absorb in it. And then we're going to take the other tray, and before I talk about this other tray, what we're actually going to do with it, it's not anything major. It's just spraying this down and then covering it over. But the water that I have is also pH balanced to about a 6.0 level. So you want to make sure that the water that you use, it is recommended typically that you have your water balanced, pH balanced. Maybe your water at home is already balanced. Mine's not. And so I balance the pH of my water. Okay? And then a lot of times what I do too, this as well, I just spray the top. Give it a little mist. Okay? And then we're going to cover it. All right? And then I'm going to put a 5-pound weight on top of it. Okay? 5-pound weight on top of it, and then I'm going to leave it covered. And I'm going to leave it in a dark area. And the growing room that I have, yes, there are lights that are, you know, on around me, but I'm typically I'll put it at the top of the shelf. That's where I have space. I can put it at the top of the shelf, or I can leave it on the table, or I can leave it at the back of this room, just an area where there's not a lot of light. If you put it on a shelf that has lights, just make sure you're not putting it on the shelf that has the light. If the light is there, make sure the light's off. You just want to make sure that there is no light going down into here, that it's really blackened and it's a blackout phase. And then you're putting a weight. I'm going to put a 5-pound weight on top of this, and then after I'll just show you a picture of it, and then I'm going to put it on the rack, probably on the top of the rack, or I might even leave it on the table. But either one of those will do. So just once again, just to revisit what we did today, we made microgreens. We got the, well, we didn't make the microgreens, but we're getting it started. But with the seeds, we used Coco Coir, we used a measuring cup, 2 cups in this about 10 by 10 size tray, and we used radish seeds. We mixed it with some pH balanced water, and we put in about, it was just actually just 1 tablespoon of radish seeds, and it could be about 1 tablespoon to 1.5, closer to the 1 tablespoon, just so that you're not overly crowding the seeds, so that they also have just some space, you know, for the roots to really have some good aeration and aeration for, you know, for circulation, and so that they're not crammed with one another. So, and you don't want to oversaturate the tray with too much water. You just want to mist it so that it is moistened. So I typically each day will check my trays 2 times a day, in the morning and at night. 1 to 2 times, 1 time at least, but definitely 1 to 2 times. And I will check on it, and I will mist it with water again for at least 1 to 2 times a day. And I will show you that process, but that's very important. So you're going to see different clippings of this video where I'm showing you how I'm managing it each day until harvest time. All right, it's day 2, and so we are on day 2 of Blackout. The seeds were put in this tray yesterday, and so I'm going to show you what I do on the 2nd day of Blackout and see if what's going on. Take the weight off. All right, so there's seeds that are here. Sometimes I just take a little tissue and just try and knock these. These will end up going back in, you know, once I maybe spray it down a little bit. Knock those seeds back in so you can kind of see how they are doing. Okay, And so what I'm going to do now, let's take a look at the bottom. Okay, so there's a little bit of, even some of this left over. I don't have my garbage can by me right now, but I'm just gonna just dump it over here on the side, and then we'll take care of it after. All right. And so as you can see, they're not sprouting yet. They're just a little bit starting to crack out of the shell just a little bit, but you just want to check it, make sure that it's moist. And this morning I came in and sprayed it down a little bit just to make sure that they weren't drying out. But so I missed it, like I said, 1 to 2 times at most in a day, and then I'm going to mist this outer part. And that's it. And then you just put it back in the Blackout, put the 5-pound weight back on it, and if you have to cover it up with a little towel just to make sure that it's dark, that's fine too. But this room that I have, I turn off all the lights, it gets pretty dark, and so that's all that you do. And so we're going to do this every day until the seeds sprout and until it's time to take it out of Blackout. And so I'll show you those steps on those other days. All right. It is day 3 of the Blackout. And so let us see how things are looking. Ooh, it is starting to sprout. Oh, I love this so much. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at the little sprouts. Fall in there. They'll just fall on their own, and whatever doesn't need to be in there won't be in there. But look at that. Look at that. So you can see how they're sprouting. The roots are digging into the Coco Coir. It's digging into this grow medium, and it is looking fabulous. I hope you can get a good view on that. So it's moist. It already is moist. Well, I watered it this morning, and so the medium, it's moist. And I don't even think I need to spray it at all. I might just mist it just a little, but it's looking pretty good. But I don't really have to. I'm gonna mist it just to give it a little bit of mist. So that's all you have to do. So this is day 3 of the Blackout. Missed it. That's it, because it already looks moist. I'm gonna spray this top of it. That's pretty good. Put it down. Put the 5-pound weight on it. Done. There we go. Today is day 5. Yesterday for day 4, I did the exact same thing by just misting it and moisturizing it. And so now let's take a look at what it looks like today on day 5. Oh, wow. Look at this tray. Wow, it is time to flip the tray top upside down, give it some space to breathe, and let it blossom. Look at these. Look at these. So it is time to see all the seeds that have sprouted. It's looking good, looking very moisturized as well. You can see how they've really pushed up. And let's see if we're notice anything going on with the roots. See how healthy. Look how good these roots look. All right. So that's looking pretty good. If you notice anything and you're like, oh, is that mold? And it looks kind of fuzzy. It's actually not mold. It's not black and gray. It's a little bit fuzzy. And then once we spritz that down, it just goes away. So for instance, I see a little bit right there. I don't know if you can notice that it looks like it's a little bit of fuzz there. There's a little, looks a little fuzzy there. And then I'm noticing a little fuzz here. This looks like it's just not going anywhere. But once we spritz it down really, it's going to go away. Here's another example. See, it looks a little fuzzy right there. It's not mold. Once you spray it down, it just really just goes away. So we're going to spritz that down, just moisturize it. And then moisturize. We're going to cover it up. And I'm just going to knock off these shells. Like, we don't really need that. So let me get a little piece of tissue. Move that out of the way. Just gonna clean off the top of that. We don't need that. The top of those shells from the seeds. Now, we're actually going to get this out. Flip it over and we're going to put the top on a different place. I'm going to spritz some moisturize the top of the tray. Tray's going to go this way. There's no need at this point to put the 5-pound weight on it. So we're not going to need that anymore. We're just going to set that aside. We're going to put this still into Blackout, cover it up, and see what it looks like tomorrow, the next day. And it's still going to be spritzed on, as long as it's in Blackout and it's covered like this, it's going to be sprayed, mixed with water until we start bottom watering, and I'll show you once we get to that point. It is day 6 and we are going to look at the radish and see how it is doing. Oh, wow. See that? Wow, there is a lot of growth that has happened in this time, in this Blackout. So day 6, they are growing really long. It looks like about 2 inches in height. It is nighttime right now, so I am not going to put it underneath the light, but tomorrow morning first thing, because some of them look a little bit limp because it's time for it to go into some light. But I'm going to do that tomorrow morning and they will perk right back up. That's looking really great. I am very pleased with what I see. You can see inside where it may need to be spritzed down with some water. There are some areas that, you know, you can see the root system. It's a little bit fuzzy. It's not mold. It just needs to be sprayed down. Like here's one. Let me see if I can take this one out and kind of just show you. I mean, all that it would, you can't really see it, but all it really would take would just be spraying this part down. Let me see if I can, is spraying that down, and then it just really just dissolves. See, just that fuzzy part just dissolves. It's not mold. It's just part of the roots. But that's a good one. So, I'm going to spray it down. So if this was in the morning time and it was looking like this, which I did spray this morning, but it didn't grow like this until later this evening. But I would have put it underneath some light, and I could have, but I wanted it just to go one more evening. But tomorrow, definitely, this is all going underneath the light for 14 hours of light. So, but as for tonight, because it is the evening, I am just going to close it back up. And just keep it like that for the rest of the evening. All right, come on inside. And then tomorrow morning, I'll put that under some direct light. Today is day 7 for the radish microgreens, and we are going to take it out of the Blackout phase and put it underneath grow lights for the remainder of the time that it needs until harvest. It will sit underneath the lights for 14 hours. So let's take a closer look at how they are doing. Let's take a look at that. Oh wow, woo, they've grown so much, yes. And they could have, you know, went under probably even sooner, but they have grown tremendously. They're about they look like they're about 3 inches tall, and they could have went under sooner. That's why some of them are just leaning over, because they need light, and they're already turning green. So I left them in Blackout a little bit longer than I should have, but they will perk back up. They will look fantastic. They are looking great already right now. This is not going to be much longer until harvest time, but we could have put it under light sooner, but that's okay. So we are not going to spray the top of it. We are actually going to bottom water. So I'm going to pour some water, maybe about, in this tray, a cup to 2 cups of water, just enough where the roots, the bottom roots can touch it. See how those roots have been growing? Wow. I think we're gonna put 2 cups in there. That should do it. So this is a 10 by 10 size tray. These are going to go under the grow lights. They're looking great. And here we go. To the shelf. There are 2 grow lights that I'm placing it right in between them, and they are 10 inches from the top. So here it is underneath the grow lights. The radish. Look at the beautiful deep purple color. It'll be under here for 14 hours of light per day. You need to make sure that you bottom water your tray each day until harvest time. And it should be ready for harvest in the next few days, maybe about 3 days. Here it is, and the next video that I will show you will be of me harvesting it. So we'll take a look at that. Hey everybody, it is day 13 and these radishes are now ready to be harvested. So let's go ahead and harvest the fruits of our labor. So before we harvest them, I want you to take a look at them very closely. Look how lush it looks. It's very full. There's a lot of green color in it. It looks very healthy. When I pull it back, looking at the stems, wow, that is beautiful. Deep purple color in the stems. Looking at the bottom there, the Coco Coir, I don't see any root rot. I didn't see any rotting or any mold forming. You can take a closer look at the Coco Coir there. It's still very moisturized. I just wanted you to take a look at this before we go ahead and clip them. Let's also take a look at the actual roots. Wow, so no root rot. They're very healthy. There's still a lot of moisture. It's doing great. So this is ready. Day 13, we are ready to harvest this. All right, so we are done. And this, see, that's all that's left. That's it. That's it, that's just left. I'm just going to, I can put this in my compost. I could just discard it that way. All right, so that's all I'm gonna do with that. This, on the other hand, this is the best thing. This is what you eat, you cook with. Whoa, flavor, it's spicy. It's spicy, and you don't want to leave your microgreens too long, because once the true leaves start popping in, then they can turn bitter. You want to make sure that you're not leaving them, you know, in the tray for too long. But these are, wow, these are spicy. That's the thing about radishes. They have a lot of flavor, just like the actual radish is. That's exactly how a microgreen tastes. So just imagine you're producing your own food within 13 days. It tastes great. You don't have to buy the actual radish. It tastes just like a radish because it is a radish seed. And you can cook with it. You can chop it up and toss it on your salad or any kind of foods. If you like spice, you can add a little spice to your food. It is wonderful. I love the radish microgreen seeds. I love all microgreen seeds, but I love the radish microgreen seeds because of the flavor that it adds and the spiciness that it adds to it. I hope you like this video. I hope this was very helpful. If you learned something, please subscribe to my channel, like my channel, and just remember to grow leafy.